everybody. Another Wednesday night, another Survivor episode in the books. We are in season 49. Just completed episode number 7. And I'm sorry, Nate has gone home. They tried to mask it as much as they could. I think that was the safe vote. We'll break it all down. We'll talk all about it and talk about the challenges and everything else. Brett LaBelle on vacation, and I know he joined us last week live from Rome at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's not going to do that this week. Instead, we're just going to allow him to finish up his vacation. He should be back with us next week, but we have a very ample guest who is going to join us. Boy Green, why don't you take the honors and introduce our guest?
I will. We're sort of dipping our toes into the Survivor waters. We did so for many years on the radio show, 10 years together, including my internship to producer to co-host of doing all this together. And we've been able to do a lot of Survivor content together, audio only form. And now we've done video the last couple of months. There is an absolute go-to Survivor account that I've been following for some time. And it's a joy when you can celebrate one of your passions with other people, other fans of your same product. And
we once found each other.
Yeah, right. That's true. So,
when we first met, I didn't know you knew Survivor, and
right.
You didn't know I watched Survivor. And then we started working together, and then you became my co-host, and you were like, so you like Survivor too? I was like, yeah, I've seen every season. Why? And he's like, well, so have I. As a matter of fact, I've auditioned to be on the show. So, well, aren't you a big shot? Next thing you know, we're talking about, why don't we bring somebody on the radio show, even though we're doing sports radio, and talk Survivor? And so we started to do that. And lo and behold, we ended up with Brett LaBelle. But go ahead, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, and by the way, real quick, shout out to Tatsuyama, who's now joined us 2 weeks in a row. So appreciate you coming back as part of our Survivor community, Tatsuyama, very much. So let's go to our special guest. Let's waste no more time and go to him. His name is Steven, but I prefer to call him by that right there on the screen. Survivor Quotes X, baby. One of the best in the business. Let's bring him on. What's up, Steven?
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me. This is quite the honor.
Yeah, so this is awesome. Again, the go-to, if you guys are on Twitter, the go-to @ is right there below Steven's name there, @ Survivor Quotes X. It's so cool. Again, getting all your opinions on whatever has happened with the episodes, which, again, we're going to unpack here live on the show. So, guys, make sure you guys get into the comment section, get live. This is an interactive show, so submit your questions and comments, and I've got so many things I want to pick your brain about, just in general, regardless of this episode, but also this episode stuff. So I guess let's get in. Merge time. Playoffs, all the other analogies you want to use. It gets pretty real here, Steven. And here's the thing: in this new era, we've seen the earn the merge. There's been that element here, and this time around, we got a completely different flavor in a different way, Steven, which I think for a lot of Survivor fans is refreshing based on a lot of the years what we've seen. It's been a very controversial merge action here, Steven.
Yeah, I actually tweeted something out that said this season had an old school vibe, especially the pre-merge, and some people were a little mixed on that, but I think it's true. And like you just said, this merge felt like an old school episode, and as someone who's watched since 2000, I loved it. So it was really exciting.
You guys like the fact that now in recent seasons, I don't know how many seasons now it's been in a row, where it's not a merge feast for everyone. It's only a merge feast for half the group. I don't know if I like that or don't like that. What do you guys both think? I'll let you both take a swing at it. Boy Green, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I'll be honest, and maybe it was because in the old days we had 39 days instead of 26, and maybe that's what they don't want. But I sort of love that, we had all these people starving out on an island, and then they reach this point of like, oh my God, there's an oasis in the middle of this desert, and everyone gets food, and then they get drunk, and they say silly things, and it's sort of fun for us to watch on the outside of them making those mistakes. So now that we're cutting we've trimmed down the days, obviously significantly. There's a 33% cut there. Then we're cutting the people that are at the merge. So then you're limiting opportunities of some of those kind of fun, hearty interactions that you would have gotten. So I get why they did it because of the, the day cutting and stuff of that nature. But just because you logically get something doesn't mean it's the right thing. So no, there's some things that bother me a lot about it.
And before you answer, Steven, the other thing I would say is, boy, in tonight's show, we didn't get much of the feast. I mean, it used to be a big celebration, and we would get, 5 or 10 minutes of content, man. It felt like it was like a minute or two. Like, okay, on to the immunity, or let's start talking strategy,
and we have 90-minute episodes now, so we even have more time available than before.
What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, I'm not wild about it. I'm glad that earn the merge twist is kind of dead, and I liked that it wasn't half the tribe is now immune. Now it's more of an open game. But I was really hoping they would have a merge feast for everyone. I mean, we have such great moments in the past from the show, previous seasons that come from these merge feasts. You have Debbie pretending to be drunk. You have Tom Westman being the strongest guy in Palau, blacking
Love
out. You have all these iconic moments, and we had wine and cheese, and it was pretty boring. I didn't even. I turned to my wife in bed and I said, "What are they even gonna eat?" Like they didn't even talk about it, and they were eating like a piece of salami, and I was like, "That doesn't seem very." Yeah, I was like, "That doesn't seem very exciting." Granted, if I'm starving, I'm gonna eat anything, but after a challenge like that, I don't want a cracker and a piece of cheese. I want like a cheeseburger. So I thought that was kind of a letdown.
And let's break the fourth wall here because Jeff Probst did it, talking about season 50, openly bringing it up in the show, and then like trying to motivate the group. Hey, man, there's a couple of spots available. So there's a lot of thought here because for folks that don't know, this season that we're watching right now was recorded 1,000 years ago. So like this has been in the hops for a while, which means the entire time they knew they carved these spots out for 50 with 49, and they built that into sort of the ethos, and then openly talking about it. And then it came back up because Savannah brought it up at a tribal council where she was talking about it as a motivating factor. What do you make of that? Because they carved out 2 spots. So we'll get into maybe predictions in a little bit, but just the overall sense of openly talking about it on the show, utilizing that way, and the fact that they thought that through in advance that they were always going to be apparently bringing 2 people from 49 to 50.
I thought it would have been really funny if they aired that and then hadn't picked 2 people to be on 50. And it was like, hey, none of you guys were good enough. But yeah, it's definitely a motivating factor where you realize you're playing a game and you're trying to be the best person, but now you also want to be entertaining to come back for 50 because they're not going to pick the best player. They're going to pick the person who makes the best TV. And is that kind of changing the narrative of the storyline where now it's too meta? I don't know.
Steven, are you a believer that Jake could be one of the 2 they bring back because of the way he exited the show, or you don't think that they'll,
I'm spoiled on who comes back. Are you guys?
I don't. So who said this before? Jake said this.
Well, yeah, no, right. It was right. It was Jake. It was Jake from Boston, right?
Yeah, Jake.
Jake O'Kane broke. He said that that it's been spoiled and it was out there. Neither Paul nor I has even delved into looking for it because we'd probably rather just be here and guessing and not messing around.
But are you comfortable? So, Alerts, do you want to know? If Steven knows, do you want to know?
I don't want to know. I really don't.
Okay. Then I will.
I want to keep guessing. So,
but let me ask you, Steven. You don't have to tell us. But if we wanted you to tell us, would you tell us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, because Jake
couldn't because he was worried about legal situations.
Yeah, maybe. And also in general, he just didn't want to spoil it. He's just like, hey, if you guys want to go find it, here's the road. Go walk down that one, and you can find it.
If I had the choice, I would not want to know at all. But in the fact that I run this social media account, it's all out there. I avoid spoilers, so I don't look for like boot lists or any. I don't know who wins. I don't want to know any of that stuff. But the casting stuff isn't even hidden by a lot of people, which is frustrating. It's like I think every season since 26, I knew who every returning player was as they were planning it, and I hated that. But like that's how the message boards were. Like that's how people talked. So. Like I knew Malcolm was coming back for Caramoan as Philippines was airing, and I hated that because then the mystery of it was gone.
Okay, good. So we still have the mystery. So don't spoil it for us, Steven. Although I give you the opportunity to. So here's 2 things here. First off, so the fact that they're bringing 2 from 49. 50 is supposed to be something really special. And, I don't know, 49's been, we could debate and talk about what 49 has been to each of us, but carving out 2 spots for 49, not knowing who 49 was for 50 feels over the top. But what I will say that Survivor nails here is that they have folks like me, Lurch, and others on the edge of their seat. Well, we need to watch 49 to know who the hell's potentially on 50 and a debate point. We're talking about it right now on the show. So Survivor wins. That's what I assume they want. But outside of that nugget of forcing the piece of conversation, like 2 from 49 just seems like too many. Like this is freaking 50, man.
Yeah, and you've got 3 people from 48 as well. Like this is overkill.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially like looking at the people that were cut. I'm not happy.
Maybe they should have just had. But perhaps it just goes to the point, right? We've debated this with a couple of people. You should have just somewhere in between now and then had the new era returning season. There's been more Jesse. Man, we could have a whole show about me naming off people that shoulda, coulda, woulda been that didn't make it for 50, but could have had their own returning season in the 40s. That would have totally made sense. And now we're going to have to wait unless Survivor dips their toes back into that water in the 50s to make up for the loss of the 40s for returning player season. Then, I don't know when we're going to get it, which is too bad.
All right, look, we know who was eliminated, and like we said, it was Nate. But I think what was interesting about this, Steven, was the fact that now tribal lines have truly been broken. We saw a sense of it last week with them not voting Steven out, even though there were 3 reds and a former yellow. The Reds thought they had it again. We were learning as the episode went on. It didn't seem that way, and we were right about that. So what do you make of it now? Is it total game on now? Do you like the fact that now tribal lines have been broken and now we're going to start a war, and we even saw it in the coming attractions? Apparently Savannah is going to let loose. So let's see how that all goes. Give your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I love the old school vibe of the pre-merge where it was tribal lines, but if it's all season like that, I'm bored. So to see this potentially blowing up now even more, I'm thrilled. And I don't think Savannah and Rizzo or Soph, is it Soph now or Sophie? Because she's
I don't really love that how Jeff ended up there, to be honest. And no one knows this outside of the inside jokes of the people that saw us on one of our first episodes, but we did a Survivor Fantasy Draft, which I'll bring up in a second very gleefully. That we're doing the fantasy draft in a pre-recorded setting because Brett had something going on, so we had to do it in that way, not live on the show. And we go through the whole thing, and Brett and Lurch basically both pick Sophie. And the way they each explained which Sophie they got, I'm the one with the draft board in front of me. I'm like, I think they picked the same person, but all right, let's keep going. And then we get to the end. I'm like, hey, who are you? Who are you? And they both said the same person. I'm like, son of a. So we had to redo the whole thing. So there's all that stuff. So it's funny that they ended up having the same problems on the show. In
a nutshell, the way it went down is Brett selected before me because we each picked 3, and it was his second pick. So we were doing a snake draft, and he said Sophie with an I. So I knew that
both Sophies have an I.
Right, but he was saying ends with an I. He didn't say that. He said Sophie with an I. So I said, when I got to my pick, I said, I'll take Sophie B. So I just figured the other one was Sophie I because I didn't want her, so I didn't have her written down on my sheet. And then we found out Sophie with the I is Sophie B. She's the one without the E at the end of her name. So that's how the whole mix-up happened. So we had to redo it, and Brett got Sophie B, and I didn't. And there's a whole other thing that went on there, too, that we won't get into tonight. But anyway, long story short, we ended up who we ended up with, and we're only down to a few people. Why don't you throw the board up there for a second?
All right, let's get into it here. So
let's show Steven where we're at right now. It's not good for me and Blue Green, that's for sure.
It's very fitting that the episode, I normally don't pay attention to the episode titles. I know a lot of Survivor fans go deep in that and what that could mean. Blood Will Be Drawn was the title of tonight's episode, and very fitting since Brett LaBelle finally had blood drawn on his Gosh Darn Fantasy team with Nate. So finally some blood spilled there. So he has 2 people left. So, okay, we're going to let you do this, Steven. We're going to let you look at the board here, and you tell us who's, excuse my French, but we're here on the internet, who's fucked in this group, and who do you think has the best chance, right? So Brett has Sophie B left, Alex, Manchild has Steven, a.k.a. the Ryan Reynolds lookalike, and also your namesake, Steven. And I've got Rizzo. That's all that's left. Who do you think has the best chance? Of course, we're trying to pick the winner, and we've done a pretty good job of that over the years of picking a winner in our fantasy drafts. Who do you feel the best about with who's left here in our fantasy draft?
I'm torn between Brett and Boy Green here because I think Rizzo's got it in it. Sophie with an I love her. I think she's got a great storyline. I think she could win, so Brett's got a good shot there. Alex, I'm a little torn on. I could see him winning, though, so I think Brett's got 2 good choices there. You've got Rizzo. I think that's a solid choice. Steven, I'm not heartbroken about his chances, but I don't know. That's an uphill battle.
The last 2 weeks, he's gotten good edits. Tonight, he got a very, very good edit, and they were letting him, chime in quite a bit. So I always feel better when my player is getting a good edit. But the controversy of this all, Steven, is if Rizzo wins, Boy Green, he just did something he shouldn't have done. And we did this recorded, and then we redid it, and then he stole my guy. My guy was Rizzo, so then I ended up with a different team. So if Rizzo wins, it's totally tainted, which is why I was like,
not true at all.
You were in my bedroom tonight as I was watching the show. You would have heard me screaming, "Get Rizzo! Get him now!" I was just screaming at the TV because I wanted him out because of what happened between me and Boy Green. Plus, Boy Green would have been knocked out of the draft, which
I would have been.
That's never happened. So.
But Steven, speaking of edits and Sophie, I mean, finally we see the other Sophie. I guess if we want to categorize it like that, she hasn't gotten an edit all season. Hell, and you tweeted this out too tonight, that she's the one. Jeff Probst. What line does he have to say, Steven? For people that haven't gone to Tribal yet, what does he have to say?
Let me get the exact words.
Okay,
please, I don't want to mess it up. But
no,
it's always the iconic when people go into Tribal and they're lighting their torch for the first time, and it's that eerie Tribal Council feeling, and I love it. And the music's going, and he looks at all of them and he says, "Behind each of you is a torch. Go ahead and grab a torch, approach the flame, dip it in, and get fire. In this game, fire represents your life. Once your fire is gone," and then he pauses and he goes, "So are you." And I get goosebumps every time.
And yes, I want to make sure that you said it beautifully there. And that's it. So Sophie, we haven't seen a lot of her. She also had to grab her torch because she hasn't been there, but she was forced to get a little bit of an edit because she won the first immunity challenge here and the individual phase of the game. So we saw a little bit of Sophie. Are we not seeing her because she's inconsequential to the game and she's eventually going to get out here and they don't want to waste time in the edit? Or is this some sneaky edit that we haven't seen her a lot, but all of a sudden, boom, we're going to get like some playoff run here where all of a sudden she starts picking up steam? What's your gut say, Steven?
It's definitely a chance that she could pull it off and win. I mean, it's not unheard of in the new era to have someone with a terrible edit come back and win. You had Erica in 41. Yep. You had Gabler come out of nowhere. Okay. I'm still shocked by Gabler.
Me too.
That
was too much for me when Gabler won that season. I just did not think that he really was a good.
My girl Cassidy should have won, and then I still love it because I was going through old Castaways. I was looking through them, and Owen's pinned tweet, Owen Knight, his pinned tweet on Twitter is their reaction, him and Cassidy, when Gabler got the win, and Jeff goes to the winner of Survivor, and Gabler's like, "Yeah, baby," and the jury starts clapping, and they go to Owen and Cassidy looking at each other like,
"Yeah."
Plus, didn't Gabler donate the whole million?
He did, but he said that before, that he was going to do this whole thing, which sort of tainted the numbers. One of the worst winners of all time.
I like people who are scrapping because they really need that money to want to win it. Like, that's why I think you get down to the end sometimes and you're not voting for the Jimmy Johnson or whoever it might be, that's the celebrity or the rich person on the show that you found out has a secret life that everyone really knows about, kind of thing. Yeah. So that was
43 has that bad end game where you could argue the last three people out, and Carla, Jesse, and Cody should have been the final three. That would have been amazing.
That would have been great.
What could have been?
Anyway, let me ask. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
No. I think it's not impossible for Sophie to come back and win. It's because Hina won all those challenges. They never went to Tribal. They didn't have to strategize.
That's a good point.
We didn't get to see that. Yeah.
So the whole theme of the show so far has been, Uli and Hina. It's this impending war that's going to happen. And obviously on the previous episode, not this episode we just saw, we saw that Shannon goes home. So then Sage, Jawan, and Steven have to come up with a plan because now that the merge is happening, they all got to come up. And their whole plan is like, geez, Shannon went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and we had to get rid of her. And they're all like, all right, I guess that makes sense. All right.
Yeah, right. They bought it.
And for me, I'm like, what? I thought the easiest thing to do is this. And if you guys see a hole in the plan, just feel free to throw a rock through it. I thought the simple thing was this: if we're all trying to, because we want to maintain that the OG tribe lines, that's what matters. Right. So if Jawan and Sage just say, "Hey, man, Jawan, Sage, and Shannon, we all voted for Steven. He had a hidden immunity idol, and he used it. And then all of a sudden, his only vote was on Shannon. Shannon went home. Man, we wanted to stick to the lines, but, geez, he had this idol, and no one can verify it. Shannon's gone. She's dead. She can't defend herself. So I don't understand. That, to me, was the cleanest way to do it. Not all this BS of, oh, man, Shannon lost her marbles out here. Super weird. I can't believe they bought that story. But, boys, why did they just do that? Doesn't that seem to be the most simple explanation, that they can't verify in any other way?
My only thought would have been someone on Hina would have said or known that maybe Steven didn't have the idol, like MC would have been like, oh no, I have the beware advantage. But yeah, they could have easily said he played a shot in the dark. Like to come up with this whole convoluted story was unnecessary, I think. But they're very lucky that Shannon had that personality, that it's not that unbelievable to think that she went
I
off
guess
the
so.
deep end.
Yeah.
And I love the Shannon Sage rivalry. I wish that didn't end so soon.
I know.
Sure.
We all want
Oh my
more of
goodness. The faces.
Sage with the
It's
face.
so good.
Let's talk about Sage for a minute, all right? Because
Yeah, sure.
you know, I mean, she's proving to be a savvy player and could really go deep in this game. Could even win this game. You know, I'm regretting that she wasn't on our big board. You know, the thing that irks me about her is, while I appreciate her kind of reading people well, which is, I think, an important skill on the island and in the game of Survivor, I also don't like the fact that she judges everyone. Like, she's like the great overlord who says, well, you're just not worthy. I honestly think that Shannon is what Shannon was on the show. I think she's into the God thing. I think she's a very positive spirit. I don't think it's a big act. I kind of got even when she went out exactly that way. But she had her as like the biggest faker. She's so fake. It's just, what, happy people are fake. So I don't know. I'm torn a little bit on Sage right now, because I like her as a player, but I'm not sure that I really like her much as a person, or that at the end of this, I'm going to like her much as a person.
So, Steven, let's turn that into a question. It's this. Do you have any problem with people using what they have available? So let's go to Shannon, right? She has this godliness about her, and that may be a real thing in her life, but she was really leaning hard into it during the game, and that resonates with a lot of people, because a lot of people are in touch with God, so that makes a lot of sense. But then you have people that are there's a lot of different versions that people can just sort of lean into as part of, it could be, I'm trying to think of another good example. I had one and it just went out of my head, but whether it's godliness or whether it's, things from your home game that you bring into the table and you just have it with you that you can use or choose not to use. Is there anything wrong with using the quote unquote tools that you have available? Do you have any ethical, anything about that if you decide to use those things to advance yourself in the game?
I would quote Sheehan here, where all is fair in love and war and Survivor. But then you also have to live with the consequences. You had Boston Rob go out in All-Stars and play a really cutthroat game. He had no ethical reservations, and he lost. Russell Hantz did the exact same thing in Samoa. He was playing as hard as he could. He didn't give a crap about any of these people, and probably doesn't to this day, and he lost. So this has to be a healthy balance of your own morals coming into this, where you're true to yourself, also playing a game, but then you have to tie in that social aspect of people need to respect you. So if you're playing unethically, you're going to be treated unethically, is how I feel.
Do you think in the end Sage gets unmasked here? You think she can go the distance here and not get unmasked as someone who, for lack of a better way of putting it, is somewhat judgmental?
I could see her hiding it for a little bit more, but it's going to slip eventually.
I think it's going to come out at some point.
Especially on those faces, right?
I think she's going to hang for a while. It's not coming out yet. Not even close. Matter of fact, she's earning the respect, it seems, of some players. Go ahead, PG.
That's true, but no, just coming off that, right? The kissing back and forth with Shannon, like she's a half second away of Shannon looking at her on one of the times. She's going,
someone's going to catch her given the look.
And then she's like, hey, wait a second. Right.
Because I was wondering at Tribal tonight, whether when Rizzo stepped up and said, I'm playing my idol, and I was like, this is the traditional bluff.
Russell Hantz did that too, put it around his neck. I'm playing this. I know I'm not going home.
Effect, right? I was reading it the whole way. I was like, oh, please, just stick with the vote. Stick with Rizzo. I was hoping so. Bad boy agreed. But anyway, but I was wondering if their plan was Rizzo, whether or not Juwan was going to give the look down the line to someone, the cue of, okay, it's plan B now. Okay, now it is Nate, because we're not taking the chance with Rizzo putting that out there that he's not going to play the idol either for himself or protect Sophie. So let's just go Nate. We know they're not going in that direction. We'll get Nate out. But I guess that never needed to happen. But you could get caught making that look. And then all of a sudden your game can be blown up. Everybody knows Juwan's a traitor. Now it's all on, right? And there you go from there. Go ahead, Steven, comment on that.
Yeah, no, you're one bad look away from tanking your own game. It's an incredibly fickle game, and if Juwan looks down the line and makes eye contact with the wrong person, it might trigger some paranoia, and it's so risky because you have the flip side. If he doesn't make any expressions and just stares at the ground, and this is anyone, not just Joanne, then it looks like you're cold and you don't care and you're not giving your allies reassuring. So it's so fascinating that these little minuscule things can set off a whole avalanche, and I love that.
All right, let's go to MC here.
language,
So, right,
baby.
so MC, everything works out. She gets to like sneakily dig for this treasure chest in front of the boat. She's like, "Oh, I gotta go to the forest." So she pranced off to the forest. She's all by herself. All of a sudden, Savannah burst out of nowhere, and she's like, "Ah, geez, here we go." All right, I'm looking for keys. Now they both great scene. They both see the keys.
key ring.
And all of a sudden, Savannah has no idea what these keys goes to, but dives on the ground like a loose fumble in a football game. And MC pulls it away, and it's sort of this awkward thing. And it makes it more awkward by standing over as she eventually unlocks the key. Let me, because Stephen, you may know the rules of this, but okay. So MC's clearly looking for her idol. It's all her notes and everything. If Savannah gets her hands on the key ring, she obviously still has to go through 100 keys to see if it goes through. If I'm MC, I don't give a flying hoot, Savannah. If you have your hands on this ring, I'm gonna beat you with this ring. I'm getting this ring and I'm unlocking the box. I don't care if you have your hand on it or you dived on it first. I don't know what her next play was after that. But if I'm MC, hell no, they're gonna have to pull me off this island. There is no way that I'm gonna go, geez, well, you beat me. You get to go through the 100 keys to get this hidden immunity idol. There's no way in hell I would have let that happen.
Boy Green, you're saying cat fight?
I guess, but like what happens next, right?
Cat fight?
What I'm trying to understand is if Savannah dives and gets the keys first, then what happens? Because again, if I'm MC, I'm not leaving without the idol. So where do we go from there, Stephen?
Yeah, I guess it's a stalemate there because MC doesn't have her vote and she needs those keys. Savannah doesn't need anything. So there's that rule that you can't steal an idol from someone, but can you steal part of a Beware advantage? I don't know. It's a little gray. I mean, we saw Sophie on Kelly in the beginning try to do that with Jake and Alex.
Right.
She wanted to steal that key. So I don't know. Like, what's the legality there? It's interesting because Savannah she's tanking this relationship, but like, what's the reward there?
By the way, let's because you are Mr. Survivor quote. I see Tatsuyama saying my favorite quote is when Shannon said she can remember her time in her mother's womb, and I remember Steven, which is Lurch's draft pick, going, "Oh wow, that's crazy! Like what?
Right?
Do you just buy anything that's said on the LA? Because again, you don't want to be that person going, you're an idiot. What are you possibly talking about? So it feels like you have to be very that person at the party. Oh, cool story. Nice. You just can't completely shut it down. You know?
Yeah, when someone says something that unhinged and you can't be like, you're out of your freaking mind, but you kind of have to play. I'm thinking of like Emily in 45 when she's they're talking about aliens and Emily's like, what the fuck are these people talking about? Like, that's how I would feel. And I get it, but you have to be fake. And that's what makes it really difficult. And to even think that you could have memories from the womb is wild. I don't think that's biologically possible, but
I don't believe so.
If it is, like, that's a miracle. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Which is a great story, I guess, for Survivor out there too, which is unbelievable. Wow.
Speaking of keys, by the way, and this is the Man-Child Show with Boyd Green Digital. It's the Survivor post-game show. We do this every Wednesday night. We started up around 9:40, 9:45, just a little bit after the hour-and-a-half episode. We're joined by Steven of Survivor Quotes X. You see him right there. Brett LaBelle on hiatus. He's in Europe. He will be back with us next week. At least we think so, unless he continues his torrid tour of Europe. We're not quite sure. Joined us last week from Rome with a little bit of wine. Anyway, so keys. That was a pretty big advantage for Sage to just go out into they're all running out there to get keys, and she gets this advantage to the challenge where she doesn't even have to participate in the beginning of the challenge because there was an odd 11 amount of people. All right. So they want it to be 5-on-5. So they put this out there and she gets to forego that whole thing. Now it doesn't lead to immunity for her because she doesn't win that difficult immunity challenge, but an interesting big advantage. We don't see big advantages very often, Stephen, when we see these challenges. Usually, you don't have to untie the knots or something simple. This was a pretty big advantage. Just basically forego that challenge and move right on to the second, to the immunity. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that was very powerful. And I think they did that in 47. Was that Genevieve also did the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, I thought that was great. And she got to partake in the reward. So that was really, I think, the main reward for her was that she got to eat. Yeah. But I was wondering, like, what if it was someone who was really athletic was the one? What if MC was the one who got the key? And now, like, she was part of that challenge that really won it for her team in the physical portion.
Right.
What if you have the really big athlete go out and sit on the bench and you're kind of a less athletic person being like, oh, wow, I'm screwed. I don't like when they divide these merged tribes in half right away. But yeah, that was a really powerful advantage, and I enjoyed it.
I'll tell you this. This is just a personal thing. The immunity idols, what happened? Now I'm getting like a keychain that I can pick up at a college university. It was just like, here's my immunity idol. What's that? 3 beats
The
and
little
a stick?
tiki things now, yeah.
Like the people that have made fakes over the years of Survivor have come up with some beautiful contraptions that look awesome. Sometimes Survivors had some really crazy looking, beautiful colors or this or some island relevancy to wherever they are location wise before they've been main Fiji for a significant chunk of time here. Like, I'm just gonna say, lame. Rizzo pulls it out, this little dinky, little stupid keychain.
Like 3 little beads on a string. What the heck was it?
Because I love the immunity necklace, the shark teeth, and then like the big shark. I'm like, okay, that looks badass. And did they spend all their money on that? And then all they had left was enough for a couple of beads? What's going on there, Steven?
The only thing I could think of is they want people to make fakes, and so they don't want people to realize have such a iconic idol that is hard to replicate. That's the only thing I think of, because I'm agreeing with you. It looks like it's a dollar store item or some kid made it at sleepaway camp. So there has to be some reason why it's so cheap. Like, I don't know. I just think of like Ghost Island. You had Wendell. He had Eric's immunity idol from Micronesia. He had to hide that in his bag. Like, that's insane. Like, he's hiding this whole necklace and he had it buried in the woods. And then you have Rizzo who pulls out the little like lanyard.
Or even Survivor China, right? When James had those big plaques that were on the big ass side, he just has these blocks. And I'm like, how did anyone not recognize these big?
Could that be part of the two guys that essentially that one of the things about idols of the past, if we go back a bunch of seasons, is that a lot of them were larger. And therefore hiding them is a lot more difficult. Maybe part of the reason or the rationale could be, that this is just something you could stick in your pocket. You can easily stick down your pants and no one's going to see it, versus ones that were more detectable. Because we have seen in Survivor people go, he's got something in his pocket there. What's that all about?
Right. Yeah.
Or maybe they're trying to get away, to get away from that as a way of a person finding out you have an idol, because, you'd like for it to be, if someone's going to find out, you'd like for it to be through strategy rather than to be through, I can just see it through the person's pants,
That's true. I actually didn't think of it that way, and it makes sense. You have people going through bags and stuff. That this idol is really hard to. It's really easy to slip past. That's a good.
I'd be afraid of losing it, to be honest with you. I'm like, Jeff's like, does anyone have an idol on advantage? Excuse me, Jeff. Wait a second. Wait a second. Oh boy.
Let me get my light on my phone or something.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, Jeff, just give me about 5 minutes here. What's going on here? That's crazy. But Steven, the other thing I want to get into is, of course, your Survivor fandom and things of that nature. But let's start off with the account. Again, I brought it up several times. You have 400 people in the room. Appreciate you guys. Again, we're streaming live in 3 different places: YouTube at MC Show Digital, YouTube at BoyGreen25, my Twitter at BoyGreen25 as well. But again, the account that matters the most that we all bow down to is at Survivor Quotes X, baby. So how did it all start? When do you first start joining the social media universe, and then wanted to share your Survivor fandom in this way? And obviously 25,000 followers later, a lot of people resonate with it.
Yeah, I've been on the message board since like Exile Island, but I'm a day one fan from the summer of 2000. Never missed a live airing of an episode. I've lived other countries around the world, still made it to 8 p.m. Eastern time streaming, never missed an episode. And the message boards got so filled with spoilers that I was like, I'm taking a break. And so I was working, I graduated college, I was working as a substitute teacher. My girlfriend broke up with me and my dog died. And I was like, this sucks. I'm sad. Like, what brings me joy? And I was like, I love Survivor. This is like my whole life. I love this show. How can I spread this with other people? Cool. And I jumped on Twitter and there was an account that posted like movie quotes. And I was like, oh, I should do that for Survivor. And I did it for like 2 or 3 weeks and it got really good feedback. And I just kept doing it as a hobby. And now it's grown and grown. And I'm in my museum right now filled with all these.
Let me throw this up full screen here. Yeah. What do we got?
I've got like so many props from the show. That lantern is from Tribal Council. This is the Survivor bed over here.
Oh yeah, please.
I've got all props over there. I could do a proper walkthrough, but it is a lot. Like,
no, please feel free. This is awesome.
My favorite thing is from Winners at War. This is where you got voted off.
Love that. That's cool.
Yeah, so they got to the edge of extinction. I actually bought this with Super Bowl money from a box.
Nice.
Wow. Okay, congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I
those Super Bowl pools, you go big, you go home,
you
baby.
never know.
Yeah, I won $5,000, and I was like, oh wow, like I don't have disposable money ever. So
yeah, right.
But then to also like go and tell my wife, like, hey, I'm gonna spend a good amount of money on this prop that's a piece of wood, and she's like, you're out of your freaking mind.
Crazy, right?
But yeah, so I've got, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 pieces, but I've got all this memorabilia, things signed. I come in here when I get into a fight with my wife, and she's like, you got to go sleep in the museum. And I'm like, is that supposed to be a punishment? Like, it's just, it's taken over my whole life in such a positive way. And I've met so many people. And yeah, what I was trying to say was that I met Jeff Probst, and I showed him a picture of this, and he was like blown away. And I actually made Jeff speechless, and I was like, that was pretty cool. So,
that's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
This show is just so cool, and I hope even more and more people get onto it. I know there have been people that have complained. Again, OG Survivor, I love 39 days, but and I heard a lot of people when it went 26 days, initially COVID related, right? They had no choice, and they're like, man, we can make the same show for a lot less money. This is great. Let's keep the 26-day thing, which I assume is what went through their mind. I know there was a significant chunk of Survivor fans that just said, this isn't Survivor anymore. I'm not watching it. That's not me, man. I'm pot committed. It's like I'm pot committed to my football team. Through hell or high water, I'm pot committed to Survivor, man. And I think Jeff Probst is Survivor. I know a lot of people complain about Jeff Probst. I love Jeff Probst. He is Survivor. Without it, I don't think it's the same anymore. So Jeff Probst, to me, it's a massive piece. I know he gets a lot of hate out there in the universe, and not perfect. None of us are, but I am a massive Jeff Probst fan.
And I think the consistency of one host, it does hold it all together. It really does kind of hold the show together. So regardless of whether you think Jeff's gone off the deep end, as Brett often says, he doesn't like a lot of things that Jeff is doing these days. But in the end, there is continuity in having Jeff, and there's recollection of every single season. Let me ask you, I'll let you comment on that, Stephen. Let me ask you another question too in tandem with that. And that is, so we got a new alliance now, and they decided to call themselves the Bottoms Up Alliance. All right. Let me ask you this broad question, because I know you're a good historian. I could tell already with all the memorabilia and everything and your knowledge of the show. What's the best alliance name ever in your mind? Do you have one? Or throw a few out there and we can kind of knock it around. What was the one with Crazy Phillip? That was a good one. Cops R Us pops into my head.
Stealth R Us is always
Stealth R Us.
And he brings that back in his second season with the same shtick. And
right.
His whole tribe is
the
like,
FBI guy trying to do it again.
Yeah.
Not
and
good.
They all fall for it again and play along. I don't know. I love Philip. I think he's hilarious, and he makes for great TV. I'm not wild about naming alliances, though. It seems kind of like you're putting a target on yourself more so. You're acknowledging it. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it sort of does, because I'm a big fan. I don't know if you dip into all the reality shows, but I was not on Big Brother until my fiance was watching it. She said, "Oh, come on." I'm like, "All right, I'll watch this show too." On top of all the Survivor stuff I love, and in Big Brother, in my experience, they are captain, name, and alliance. And what I thought at first when I heard that, I was like, that's got to bring you guys closer together. That's not just some random names. Right. Like, you guys we're the secret ops, we're the whatever made name. Oh, wow, this feels more real. But after watching Big Brother now for all these seasons with my fiance, now there's so many fake of these alliances with the names that mean nothing. Now it destroys my entire image of, wow, I guess these names actually mean something. So yeah, in Survivor, it doesn't feel the same, because like I can think of all kinds of, JT and Steven. I don't think they had a name for their alliance, but it was just awesome and got them both to the end. So I don't think alliances need names personally, but
yeah, they really weren't a big thing on Survivor till like around season 36, 37. And before then, really, you had Stealth R Us, you had that Cops R Us, but it really wasn't like a big deal. And I think the Big Brother crossover, I have noticed that as well.
Yeah.
I always think of like Nick from David vs. Goliath kept coming up with nicknames, trying to bond with people, and he even says like, "This is how I'm trying to make friends, is to like come up with these names and stuff." So there is some strategy there, but it doesn't do much for me, I have to say.
I mean, one of the ways we try to detect who could potentially win any season of Survivor is by the edit. Who do you like at this point, Steven? Who do you think is getting a good edit at this point? And that might line them up for some success, at the very least, to go deep in the game, if not win the game entirely.
See, I thought it was prior to tonight, Savannah had a really good edit. It was a mix of positive and negative, but it never showed her not in control. And that is something that I noticed when it comes to storylines of previous winners. If there's someone who's never really been in danger, not necessarily at the vote, but just no one's talking bad about them, it's always something positive.
Right.
I thought that was Savannah, and now tonight, like my illusion has been shattered.
Blew up. Yep.
Yeah.
Looks like
Yes.
next week it's really going to blow up.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
See, you can't. That's the thing in Survivor. We've watched a lot of seasons, all of us between us, and you can't take it personal when sometimes you get on the wrong side of the vote. I mean, it's nice to be on the right side of the vote all the time, but you're going to get hoodwinked sometimes, and it's just how you bounce back from that. And if you bounce back with revenge, 99% of the time, you're going to be going within a few weeks, because revenge just doesn't work, especially when you definitively don't have the numbers. So, you got to be humbling out and figuring out how you can get in the cracks and get yourself back in where you need to be.
Which is wild, because that's not human nature, is to get backstabbed and you go like, "Oh, you got me!" Like, so.
Oh, I hate that again too. Nate leaving. Oh, good game, guys. What is this? A pickup basketball game at the park?
I know.
You just stabbed me at the back. I got blindsided. Blank you guys. Screw you.
Like,
again, if I get on the island, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think of like Annika in 47 getting blindsided and she's pissed. Like, that's me. I'm gonna look at all these people and be like, "Fuck you." But like, you can't.
100%.
Like, I mean, you can, but like,
oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
I don't know. I could never go through all of that and then get voted off by people I trust, or even if it's just my time and I'm on the wrong side of the numbers, I'm gonna be mad. I could never just be like, "Oh, you got me." I think that's a new era thing of we're all playing a game and it's not as personal, and that could be a whole discussion about casting and who needs the money and whatnot. But I don't know. I would take it personal.
My favorite moment of all of last season Survivor
48,
48 was David, after he got voted out, the glares at Tribal.
Oh, from jury, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From the jury box, just glaring at them. Now we come to find out it was.
He said he was joking.
A little bit of a joke. It was very entertaining. I was like, "Oh my god, he is steaming mad," and I love it. I love it. Someone's pissed that they got voted out. You should be pissed. Your chance of winning $1 million was decided by some other idiots. You should be mad at them, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, like, give me Judd in Guatemala calling them all scumbags. Like, I need that. I want to feel like these people are emotionally invested in this journey too, where it's not just a summer camp fun. Like, if you're not devastated, I don't think you're playing.
There, I 100%. I want some snake and rat speeches, baby, back at tribal councils, for God's sakes. Now,
which is wild that was only season 1, and that speech has never been taken.
It's impressive, but also sad, because, like, people need to try even harder to try to, whatever their own spin is. I don't need a copy and paste, but your own version of some real juice of getting in there, which I would prefer. And again, Jeff popped the cherry tonight of talking about some season 50 stuff, and I imagine that may not be the first time that's brought up throughout the season. We know who the season 50 cast is. Apparently, even more than we do on who the season 50 cast is. But putting the 49 people aside, what do you think was the biggest oversight of 50, that either insert player or insert span of time? Because if you look at it like globally from how seasons were represented, there's a chunk of seasons that are just missing from the season 50 resume of, like, Survivor seasons. They just skipped, said, no thanks, we're good. We're not going to pick from any of this serious chunk of time. So what do you think was the biggest oversight for the casting of season 50?
Well, what's interesting is when I went to meet Jeff Probst, it was at the premiere party for 48, and he spoke about 50, and he said, we want this to be a celebration of every season, every genre, every like age of Survivor. And like you said, he cut out a lot, and it's not just Jeff, obviously. I'm sure there was people on the cast that he's not happy about, and vice versa, but there's some big names that were missed out on, and I'm not just saying Parvati, Sandra, Boston Rob, they've had their time, I agree, but even someone like Carolyn, she's one of the most recognizable people of the new era. Like, I don't know. There's so many characters that were missing that I was so devastated by. Even as I was watching the casting process, there was all these groups that who's in, who's out, who's in the mix, and there were some really exciting people. You had Natalie Bolton, you had Greg Buis from season 1, and they all got cut like days before, and it makes you wonder like what could have been. I'm trying to be optimistic about 50, and I am, but I can't lie and say I'm not let down by some of the cast.
Do you have a favorite in 50? Is
Yeah.
there somebody that you're be rooting for right out of the gate?
I'm really excited to see Colby actually.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because he's at his peak in season 2. He goes in All Stars and he kind of doesn't care. And
Right.
then in Heroes vs. Villains, he flops, but you could tell he took it hard. So people said his storyline was done, and I agree with that, but I don't know. I'm interested to see his resurrection, and he could come back and last one episode. I don't know, but I want to see how the old school really measures up to the new school, and having him and also Jenna Lewis, like, I don't know. It'll be such a dichotomy that I think will be really interesting. So I'm excited to see Colby and Jenna.
You a big fan of Coach? Boy Green and I are big fan of Coach.
Oh, I love Coach.
It's
Dragon
love
Slayer,
Coach.
baby.
Keep the Dragon
Yeah.
Slayer back on.
I did not like him when I first watched Tokenshiens because I didn't appreciate that he was a character. I wasn't buying into the edit that they were trying to make him as a strategic player in the beginning. So I was like, this is so stupid. And then by like episode 3, I was like, oh, he's a caricature, but he's not. He's sincere, but he's not. And he's fascinating. I love Coach, and I'm really excited to see him back. South Pacific, he forms like a religious cult. I mean, how is that not hilarious? Like, I don't. And to this day, I don't know how sincere he is. Like, so
Not sure either.
it'll be-
I'll tell you what,
Right.
it may not be my favorite season, but some of my favorite all-time episodes of Survivor, and I've mentioned this before, is when he is trying to convert
Brandon Hance.
You know, that moral struggle and the
Mhm.
way and the edits and the way that we saw it from both perspectives in the testimonials and everything, and I was like, oh, this is phenomenal television. It was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
That
it.
season is just, it's very dark, and I love that. It's
Very
very
dark.
Yeah.
psychologically fascinating.
Yes.
I'm drawn to seasons like that, like Palau, Thailand, where the end game is just so personal and so dark. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That is to me what Survivor is, where your morals are really being conflicted.
Yes.
I don't know. I find that fascinating. So to see Brandon actually struggle with his faith, and then was Coach like messing around with, I don't know. That's
Was he really
Yeah.
trying to save him? Was he not trying to
Right.
save him? What was
Yeah.
going on there?
So many
to
questions.
this day,
there.
I still don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Steven, you would be able to confirm this. I think we talked about it with a few people. I don't believe I've heard anyone else be able to confirm it. So there's 24 castaways that are going to be here on season 50. And if it's 26 days for 24 people, like Jesus, it's going to be a ritual bloodletting on a night-to-night basis. Is there any chance that they increased it and it's not 26 days? Have you had any confirmation on that? Did it go to 39? Is there some agreement in the middle? Did they change that at all for 50? I
think it's been confirmed that it's 26 days.
Okay.
Okay. Which was a big letdown because there was talk online of maybe they'll bring back 39 days.
Right.
And they didn't. So that's where we're at. I don't know how they're going to get 24 people in 26 days unless there's multiple double tribals. And I don't really like double tribals. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I hope they don't do a Palau school pick where people are eliminated right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. Rupert and his wife, and oh my God.
Yeah, then you had like Wanda and Jonathan not picked for teams. Like,
right.
I haven't really thought that they would do something that cruel in a returning player season, but I wouldn't put it past production at this point. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they really cut down on these team sizes. We've never had 3 teams of 8 before, so. I don't know, because then I think, we have the 90-minute episodes, but like, what if we had that for Winners at War? What if we had that for Heroes vs. Villains? Like, the 90-minute episodes open up so much.
And
So-
apparently we're getting 2-hour episodes for season 50, correct?
I've heard that as like a rumor, but I don't know if that's been confirmed yet.
Okay.
Have you
Oh,
heard
okay.
that?
I thought I'll see if I can confirm
You've
before the
also
end of the
heard
show
it's
because
rumor.
I thought it came through, but again, more the merrier. They'd really be obviously juicing the heck out of it. I'm glad that we've gone to at least 90 for. You'd know better than me on the exact season that it started. It was either a season or two ago that we started
Yeah, I
getting
believe it was
90 minutes.
45.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I thought it went back that far. And then we have, obviously, sometimes we'll have intro, outro. We have the 2+ hours or 3+ hours with reunion and everything else too. So I'll see if I can confirm before we sign off here and wrap up on the show. But shout out to the 400 people in the room right now. I love it for all the Survivor fans.
Yeah. And by the way, click on subscribe. You can join our little army here at MC Show Digital on YouTube. That's where you want to click. Let's finish up with a couple of things from tonight's episode. MC decides to play her idol in Tribal. So she didn't obviously have a good read on where this was all going, but she didn't want to go home with an idol in her pocket. Good move or bad move? Let's talk about that. When people play idols that they don't need to play, is it a good move or is it a bad move?
It's only a bad move if you go home with an idol, I think. So it's better to play it safe and know 100% you're not going anywhere unless it's really obvious that you're not going. It's stupid, but I wouldn't take that risk. If I have an idol and I think there's a chance I'm going, I'm probably going to play it. So I think she did the right thing.
Yeah, I had not been able to confirm. I don't know wherever. Maybe I made that rumor up in my head somewhere. And
I have heard that before, though, but I don't know the outcome.
Okay, good. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better that I didn't completely make it up in my head seeing that too. Go ahead.
Now, you looked at our big board, but we didn't really ask you the bingo question. I mean, on our big board, okay, we've got 4 players left that could potentially win the game. Who do you think is going to win the game? Forget about who we've picked. There's still a lot of other players besides who we've picked. You can see all the
are available
on our board. So who do you think is going to win this season and why from what you've seen so far?
See, before tonight, I would have said Savannah 100%. I would have said she's got the storyline, she's got the motivation, she's got the moves. But now that's all shattered.
There's
so
cracks. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Blue Sophie is a sleeper win right there. I could see her pulling it off. And I got a feeling Rizzo's got a shot. I don't know, because they've never shown him in a negative way. They've shown him in a goofy way,
right?
But,
for sure.
But they show people liking him, and that's ultimately what Survivor is. It's a popularity game. Like
part of it is, no question.
Yeah, you get to that final tribal, and you could be the person who made the best moves. But if people don't like you, they're not going to vote for you. That's
you don't annoy people. They get along with you in camp. That does still matter these days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an old school Survivor, but that does still matter in the grand scheme of things outside of all the cutthroat strategy that we've seen in recent seasons, right?
Yeah, so my 2 picks would be Rizzo and Sophie.
Okay.
All right, beautiful.
Both on our board, so that's pretty amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Steven, give a plug. I'm going to make you full screen again because I just want to admire that gosh darn museum, for God's sakes.
I wish I could probably show you a bunch of...
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Let's go, baby.
I've
go on the grand tour.
I've got the boat paddle up there from Cook Islands, the first immunity challenge, where they divided people by race, which is wild.
Yeah,
and then
that was
below that, I still can't believe they did that. Above
that's my boy Yule. I love Yule. He's one of my favorite survivors of all time.
No, Yule's great, and my wife thinks he's like the hottest person ever. So I'm a little jealous of Yule. But
sorry to hear that, Steven. Yeah,
I know it's devastating. Then I've got like boat paddles. I've got those 2 stone axes are from Guatemala, and then below that is a piece of Samoa's tribal council.
Wow.
And then down here, I don't know if you remember that. There's my fridge. I keep my alcohol in for when my wife's asleep.
Beautiful.
But
there you go.
I have that disc there that says Jerry. That's from Australian Outback. Yeah. So
Jerry Manti, I love
that's
Jerry.
one of my all-time favorite seasons, going all the way back to season 2. The stuff that happened in Outback, that flood that washed their camp out, all that was a really good season. I like that season a lot.
I rewatched that season like 3 years ago, and just the nostalgia there and the music, the cinematography, like it's so cheesy, but it's not. It's so intense. Like I have such a soft spot for Australian Outback. So when that came up on eBay, I was like, I'm buying that. And then here I have a tribal council area.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
He's got the pen, and you can just write them down here, baby.
Yeah, let's see.
So this is the actual paperweight and lantern from Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, where Ben won. So I have like my own little voting station set up.
Can you be honest with me, Steven? Have you ever attempted to vote out your wife?
No, she's
No,
probably
you
tried to.
You don't do that.
She's probably tried to vote me out, but no, I've never. She would kill me.
I can just imagine an argument. You're like, I've had enough. Yeah, sorry, hon. Yeah, you're out of here.
She didn't watch the show till we got together. So like, I think her first season was Island of the Idols, which is not a great season to start with.
Yeah,
Sandra Robb, pour one out. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So as like Winners at War was coming out and the cast was being announced, I was losing my mind. And she was like, I don't get it. She's like, I don't get, why is this such a big deal? And I was like, this is 20 years put together. And I at one point I tried to make a graph of showing how people knew each other. And
cool.
I was getting like animated telling her like, well, this person played with this person. And she was like, I don't care. And at that point I was like, I might have to call a divorce lawyer. Like, you got to get hyped up for Winners at War. But,
here's the funny thing about wives. So number one, no, you never vote out your wife, Boy Green. That's a very bad idea.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
All right. And you know what? Like, if they take interest, great. And if they don't, they don't. Like, I'll give you this perfect example. All right.
Okay.
So we're doing a Survivor show tonight, but Paul and I, during the day, the rest of the week, essentially, we cover sports. All right. And primarily these days, we're in football season. It's the Jets, the Giants, and the Bills, because we're in the Northeast and we're located in New York State. The other day I was watching that Jimmy Fallon brand TV show.
I've not seen that yet. No.
It's actually pretty cool. It's kind of like a little twist on Shark Tank kind of thing. All right. Really cool new show. Pretty new show. And Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Bills, VP of the NFL last year, was on the show cutting commercials with the people that were competing to win the prize of, the big prize, actually, as it turned out. It was the last episode of the season. And she turns to me. This is the wife of a sportscaster for the last 30 years, in this neck of the woods in New York. And Josh Allen is on television, and she goes, "Who is that?" And I just looked at her, and I was like, honey.
Especially in New York.
I know you don't love sports, but you are married to a person who has been a sportscaster for 30 years.
Yeah.
And you don't know who Josh Allen is. Josh Allen plays for the Buffalo Bills, a team that is 2 hours away from where we live.
Yeah.
He was the most valuable player in the NFL. That kind of gave him some prominence. He married a Hollywood starlet,
Haley Steinfeld.
Recently, that was in the gossip news. I was like, even if you just watched the Today Show, hun, you must have saw him somewhere. I mean, the guy is out there in the public. She had no clue who Josh Allen was. So you just got to let it go. You just, inside I was bubbling. On the outside, I was like, okay, calm down. Just don't do it.
I got a story.
Oh, great.
I don't mean to like rag on my wife. So if she can hear me, I'm sorry. But my wife lived in Boston and worked at a CVS when she was in college. And someone came in and got their medication and asked to use the bathroom. And she said, no, that's like for employees only. And they were like, okay, they left. And the guy she was working with came over and was like, you just told Tom Brady he can't use the bathroom, right?
Oh my God.
She had no idea what he looked like. This was like in 2010. Like, he was well known. Like, I was like, honey, how'd you do that? She's like, I didn't know what he looked like. He was just wearing like a sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's
and no employee access to the bathroom. Wow,
yeah.
That's brutal.
And the guy, her coworker was like, he could have like peed on the floor, and I would have cleaned up after it. Like, why'd you tell Tom Brady you can't use the bathroom?
That's beautiful. All right, Steven, let me as we're going to be wrapping up the show here, let me ask you, who's your favorite Survivor all time? Who's the Survivor you hate the most? Oh, we're going to a prop. All right, let's go full.
I mean, of course, Kathy Vavrick O'Brien. That's what the whole account is dedicated to. The greatest one-time storyline in the history of Survivor.
Shout out to Kathy.
No, it's my goal to meet Kathy, but also like
you haven't yet. Okay,
I've spoken to her on the phone once for like 10 minutes, but that was like a charity thing. But I've never met her in person. I went to Burlington where she lives for my bachelor party that was unrelated to Kathy, but I was like, wouldn't that be cool if we bumped into her? Like all my guys wanted like to go to a strip club, and I was like, no, I want to hang out with Kathy, and they're like, who the hell is Kathy? So she's my number one. I love Kathy. One I dislike the most, I gotta say Ben from Samoa. He was the racist guy who was fighting
Oh,
with
yes,
Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, anyone like that just takes it to a next level of hatred. That's not Survivor.
Fair reasons to hate somebody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
fair reasons. Okay.
Yeah.
At first, I thought you were talking Ben bombs. I'm like, no, a few people didn't
No, I
enjoy
like Ben.
it.
No.
Yeah,
not-
I was like, I could get why a few people. No, that's a much
That's
better.
Cowboy Ben. No.
Yeah.
No, I like Ben. I think he brings a nice chaos to the game, and his win is controversial, but he made for good TV, and I like Ben.
Do you feed into any conspiracy theories? A lot of people said production threw something on the ground so Ben could keep surviving in a unique way, and that's very convenient. He found the right idols at the right time to sort of fuel that end run.
It definitely feels conspiratorial, although I don't know. I'd like to think that there's enough lawyers involved that they
Right.
wouldn't allow something like
The
that.
fairness game,
Yeah.
people and all that. Yeah,
Because there's too much for them to lose Survivor in general to rig one season, because then they lose the entire show, the entire
Right.
credibility.
the integrity and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. The only conspiracy I ever bought into, which has proven to be true, was season 1, where Mark Burnett told Toggy to vote off Stacy instead of Rudy, and that was brought out in court and settled out. And Stacy probably made more money than Boston Rob or Tony. Like,
Right.
That's the only conspiracy that I buy into, because it's been proven. And I love conspiracy theories. I'll read them, but I don't really believe any of them. That being said, some probably are true that we don't know of. So I don't know.
Sure. Well, Steven, it's been so awesome,
Been
to,
awesome.
again, to get to know the man behind the account that I've been following for so many years, which is so cool. It's great to see your passion. You've got the greatest Survivor museum I've ever seen. So I hope this is not the final time we chat, because this was such a fascinating conversation, man. This was
I can go
so
for
cool
hours.
that got you connected. It sounds like it, which is awesome. And I love that we're connected here. So we're going to have to do this again very soon, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steven. It's been a pleasure having you. Steven from Survivor Quotes X joining us in Brett's stead. Very, very fun stuff. All right, Brett should be back next week. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching. Again, if you haven't already, click on that subscribe button. We'd love for you to become part of our little community. We do these Survivor postgame shows after every Survivor episode. We'll do it this year. We'll do it next year. We'll keep doing it as long as you keep coming. We also do lots of sports content during the day. If you like the Bills and the Jets and the Giants, well, then you want to follow us for that as well. But whatever you follow us for, we have developed playlists. So just watch what you love. It's a lot of fun and become part of our little family. Steven, thanks again for Boy Green, for everybody out there, for Brett LaBelle, who's not with us tonight. We say goodbye again. We'll see you again soon, folks. Take care.